Hi everyone, my name is John Blue. More and more of us are experiencing feelings of burnout in our lives. And I'd like to share some of the wisdom of Chinese medicine and Daoist philosophy, and what they have to say about living in a more balanced and sustainable way. Some time ago, I experienced a complete flaming burnout, as in burned to the ground. And I'm willing to bet that you'll know exactly the feelings that I'm describing. I was still in graduate school studying medicine, managing an overcomplicated constellation of long-term relationships, and processing a lifetime of physical and emotional fatigue. I'm sure everyone here knows that feeling, that deep sense of fatigue, the hollowness that comes when your energetic resources have been tapped until you're not even running on fuel in your tank, you're just somehow running on a kind of inertia. Your brain works just enough to tie your shoes, but learning feels more and more impossible. And you can't even remember why you're doing the things you once felt passionate or hopeful about. Your emotional fuse is super short, and you can't even muster the energy to try and do something about it. If I slept at all, it didn't make me feel more rested. If anything, the bad dreams would leave me feeling worse. You get sick or feel unwell so often that it becomes the new normal. We can't even remember what it's like to be energized, rested, or motivated. We're just getting by, barely, and hoping nobody else notices. Sound familiar? For the first time in my life, I took time to immerse myself in nature by camping in a forest. The experience, to put it mildly, was transformative. As I sat in quiet meditation at the base of an enormous and ancient tree, the peace of the forest soaked into my habitually numb body-mind. And that clenched fist that I held around my heart finally relaxed. The grip on my life, fueled by anxiety, caffeine, hopes for the future, and shame about my past, let go. And I found myself crying. Not crying. That gives the impression of me standing in the forest with a single manly tear falling from the corner of my eye. No, weeping. I had just had enough. I cried so hard and so long that I had to cancel my trip. The breakdown continued for days, and as I returned home, I proceeded to blow up my relationships in the most unskillful way possible as I struggled to find a different way to live. And yet the echoes of that forest were still spreading within my life, forcing me to stop the momentum of my chaotic existence. And I am incredibly grateful, because the way I had constructed my life was haphazard and definitely destined for a bad end. For example, I had never created space in my life for rest. I only ever added more to solve my problems. Sound familiar? We want to improve or to feel better, so we add something new. A new hobby, a new person, a new look, a new job, new substance. And we end up chasing our tail until we are exhausted. But we never stop and wonder why. Not usually, because we're already too tired to figure out anything anyway, and gosh, it takes energy to change. One of the greatest gifts of illness and burnout, and yes, I said gift, is that it forces us to slow down and stop. Clearly something isn't working, and this is our chance to reevaluate and to ask for help. Of course, even better is to notice the early warning signs of burnout before they get too bad, and to make changes while you're still healthy enough to do them easily. And that's what I'm hoping to help you with today. Within Daoist philosophy, we explore the idea of the seasons of life. And in order to be healthy during these various phases, our lives must be in balance. Things have beginnings and they have endings. There are times of expansion and times of contraction, consolidation. Every inhalation needs an exhalation. We have midday, midnight, times of waking, times of rest. The problem comes when we only want one phase of life, only learning without time to consolidate that understanding, only winning without allowing for loss, only talking and never listening. Poetically, we arrange this into a list of 5 phases or 5 elements to describe this process of transformation: water, wood, fire, earth, metal. And let's talk about how to heal and to prevent burnout using these images. Water represents stillness, midnight, deep winter. That is the time when one thing has been allowed to be finished and we haven't yet started a new project. Think about it. When was the last time you allowed yourself to be still and to do nothing at all? Simply to be at rest in stillness and silence. It's a bit uncomfortable, right? Of all the phases we will explore, this is the most commonly abandoned quality. In part because culturally, we're made to feel ashamed or embarrassed about the need for deep rest. In part because we never learned how to stop. Like me, we take a vacation, and instead of becoming still and quiet, we go out to do even more stuff. Try to entertain ourselves and fill that restless agitation inside us with more doing. But sometimes, often, what we really need to do is to slow down and stop. Try this practice with me. We'll do a moment of quiet sitting and a bit of guided visualization about possibilities. Sit comfortably at the edge of a chair that lets you sit up straight in order to relax without slumping. Sitting in a relaxed way is a skill that meditators figured out millennia ago, and it's something that I recommend taking some time to learn later. It makes everything in life easier. For now, though, just become comfortable. Close your eyes if you'd like. Exhale through the mouth. Soften your body, releasing tension. And inhale through the nose, allowing the feeling of peace and stillness that you find as you relax and open. Exhaling, soften. Inhaling, stillness and peace. Soften your face. Release your neck. Relax your shoulders. Allow your elbows to sink. And release your hands. Notice that peace and softness beneath. Let go of holding patterns in your chest and back. Soften your belly, your rib side, your lower back. Release your legs, your feet. Do this practice for just a few minutes, a few times each day. Notice the difference already? Letting go and becoming as soft and as still as you're able. And while you continue to relax, imagine that you magically are able to take a year off from your life. Maybe you come to our little monastery, stay in a little cabin, no responsibilities or needs for one whole year, except to yourself. Each night, you sleep well, napping occasionally during the day until you feel rested. You spend a part of each day walking around the forest, near the lakes, breathing and moving enough to feel well circulated, limber, and gently exercised. You eat lightly of healthy food and you practice quieting your mind and your heart as you relax by the stream under a tree. And you do this each day for a full year, completely carefree. Do you get a sense of this in your body and mind? How does it feel? You have a memory of this possibility somewhere in your system, fully rested, so that your body feels light, open. Your mind is sparkly and clear. Your emotions are calm, contented, refreshed, recharged at a bone-deep level. As you imagine this, where do you feel the biggest differences in your body? How would it be to feel so peaceful and bright all the time? What you are experiencing is the ghost of the results of the water element being fully realized. Stopping until your body and your mind are ready to start something new. Instinctively, we have an idea of what that's like. A full recharge would make everything we do afterward many times more effective, efficient, and inspired. You'd be able to be the best version of you. I wish more companies would do research into the benefits of a healthy and well-rested workforce. The benefits of having a team that's always at the top of its game cannot be overstated. And yet, resting deeply and well is a skill, and we need to make the space for it within our schedules, within our homes, and even within our workplace. If you go to the gym, it's not during the lifting of the weights that you get stronger. It's later, when you're resting and replenishing, that your body heals and grows. When you study something new, it's not until later that your mind is quiet and resting, that your brain and nervous system consolidate that new information. When do you get new ideas and inspiration? When you're able to let go of the old ideas and to make space for something new. We need that moment of downtime in order to experience the big aha. And so planning for success must include the empty spaces, the quiet moment, the deep rest that makes it possible to build our future. So your homework for this section is to take a close look at your cycles of rest and downtime. They are immeasurably important for your health and performance. What is something that you can do today to make an immediate difference in that part of your life? Also, the next time that you're about to start a new project at work, take a moment to stop. Be still, even only for 30 seconds. My teacher, Master Jerchung, he always tells me, what's the first thing that you do? You don't. The first thing that we do is to stop doing whatever we were doing before. And that way, you are always able to start feeling fresh, clear, and free. Exhaustion and a lack of rest is a big part of burnout, but so is frustration, a feeling that we are always on edge emotionally, with a short fuse. Impatient, yet unable to plan or take the next step. We may even feel trapped and powerless in our own lives. And these symptoms fall within an imbalance of the wood element. And this is the phase of life that includes the sunrise and the springtime. And when we wake up after a long rest and we want to stretch. Or when the seed in my garden has been waiting through the winter and suddenly bursts open with a lively sprout. Wood energy needs to expand and be free, to express, to create, and to let go. And when those qualities of letting go are not being expressed, then we feel repressed and irritable. It shows up in our lives and often becomes a serious problem within our relationships, especially if we begin to burst into anger. Any of this sounding familiar? Sometimes someone will come to my clinic and say that they have heard about powerful practices like meditation and Tai Chi, but when they go and they sit down to meditate, they're overcome with strong emotions, agitation. They try to hold on tighter and tighter to their practice, but it doesn't work. They only feel worse afterward. So this whole meditation thing must be a lie. Did you hear the problem? They're holding on instead of letting go. They're squeezing themselves instead of loosening up. And they also engage in the wrong practices when they do feel pent up. Usually, I lead them outside and we go for a walk. Not a walk, a stroll, a ramble. In Chinese, we call it sanbu, scattered steps. And we're not going for a walk as though we're trying to raise our heart rates or to get anywhere in particular. In fact, the goal is to feel that there is no purpose at all other than to simply enjoy the stroll, setting them free from expectations. They find themselves outside in the fresh air, breathing deeply, swinging their arms, moving their legs, listening to the birds, looking at the trees. And because they've stopped trying to control everything, even if just for a little while, they start to heal. They start to unwind, to uncoil, to unknot. And this is the direction of healthy wood expression. So if you can, wherever you are, get up for a moment. Move into a comfortable, upright standing posture. It's okay to do this seated. I'll stay seated for the sake of the camera. And by the way, like the learning to sit correctly that I mentioned, learning to stand like a Taiji or Qigong practitioner is fantastically useful, especially if you are someone who spends lots of time on your feet. Please seek out an expert to help you learn. Take a moment to unlock your joints, and if you're standing, to put your hips beneath your shoulders. It's as though you're just about to sit backward onto a tall chair. And let's use that same breath pattern that we explored before. Exhaling tension and stress through our mouth, and inhaling peace and comfort through the nose. Soften your face, relax your jaw. Release your throat, your neck, your shoulders. Allow your arms to hang by your sides if you're standing, without slouching, forward or back. If you're someone who uses your hands a lot, take an extra moment to loosen them up and release them. Let go of your chest and upper back. Soften your ribs and your belly, and allow your breath to be free. Release your lower back, your hips, your glutes. Soften your thighs around your knees. Even your feet. All of the weight of your body falls through your legs and into the ground. This standing practice by itself is a foundational method for other deep practices, deep healing. But today, in exchange for walking practice, let's just swing our arms a bit. Even if you're sitting, if you don't have a chair with arms, you can swing them forward and backward if that's comfortable for you. And like with the walking, we're not trying to do anything right or worried about getting it wrong. We're just swinging our arms. Notice if your thoughts turn inward toward being judged or trying to make yourself feel a certain way. Let go. If these kinds of thoughts are habitual for you, then it's extra important to practice each day to let them go. You don't need them. Settle into stillness in the present moment. Be here and now without getting caught up in your ideas about tomorrow. Wood energy is all about taking action, but it has to be movement that is free from the constraints of worry, stress, or frustration. So in order to live in a way that doesn't lead to the dead end of burnout, we must constantly be making choices that respond rather than react to current circumstances. Don't react to old ideas. Respond through this quality of softness, presence. These days, I spend a good percentage of my time studying and translating old Chinese texts. There's a quote from the classic Daoist collection called the Tao Te Ching, and it's often mistranslated into English. It's usually shown in English as the long journey begins with the first step. But that's not the actual translation. In the Tao Te Ching, it's closer to say, a long journey begins under your feet. And that's a huge difference. We begin where we are. We start with becoming present, engaging with the moment that we are in without jumping thoughtlessly into the next task. What's the first thing we do? We don't. We become settled and clear, and then we take the first step. That kind of action leads to a far different outcome and allows us to choose a path that is authentic to our lives. Expressions of our freedom. Sit down whenever you feel ready, but taking your time is actually part of the practice. Other ways to begin releasing the wood quality include exploring alternative methods of expression. Creativity can be a lifesaver. Music, dancing, painting, gaming, woodworking, and a zillion other options are available to explore your artistic side. Generosity is another way. It releases this habit of holding on tightly and controlling. Try donating to your favorite charity or creator, or get out into the community and perpetuate some random acts of kindness. Keeping them anonymous makes it easier to keep your ego out of the equation. At work, where can you inject a bit of your personality, creativity, kindness? Many businesses have somehow overlooked adding humanity to the human side of their business. And this is one way to alleviate the sense of frustration and to bring a spark of joy back into the workplace. Your homework is to spend a few minutes each day strolling outside with some scattered steps. It's a practice for when you're too upset to sit still, too full to concentrate, too bottled up to breathe deeply. You don't walk to arrive, you walk to release. Let your thoughts scatter, let your plans dissolve. Let each step be a falling leaf. Letting go is a skill that you can practice and that will transform your life. Remember to use that strong wood energy to plan around protecting this free time. You deserve it. So if water is stillness and wood is growth, then fire is what happens when the energy rises to the heart. Fire is the noon summer sun, the moment of full bloom, the laugh and sparkle that catches everyone in the room, the joy of connecting to people, to purpose, to spirit. But fire is also where burnout gets its name. The phase of life that we call fire is often what we are looking forward to each day at work. The big win during a competition, that moment of triumph when you get the gold star from your boss at work, that time you are eating your favorite food, laughing at the punchline of a joke, and you feel like you're at your best. This is wonderful and worth enjoying. However, the problem comes when we try to stay there all the time. When that fire has been burning bright for too long and it stops feeling like joy and more like agitation, restlessness. If the water element we discussed represents the bottom of the exhalation, this represents the top of the inhalation. And what would it feel like to only inhale all of the time? How would the environment survive if it was always high noon? Everything becomes brittle and starts to burn up, and that's exactly how we feel when we try to force the high point all of the time. For years, I was a professional musician, and numerous musical pieces emphasize these extended moments of bright, unending sound. It tends to lend a kind of manic restlessness to the music that people intuitively understand is imbalanced. It's also particularly exhausting to play music like this because there's no breaks in the sound. In an orchestra, we need to pencil in moments to breathe on the sheet music to avoid running out of energy and air. And as I keep mentioning, if we don't plan for our downtime, then we usually forget to create the space for ourselves. We try to live in this high energy uptime, and that bright fire burns us up. It's difficult at first to make space in our lives for productive non-productivity. And yet the trick is in finding the right motivation. It's self-defeating to try and motivate yourself based on anxiety about your health or the desire for health improvement. And if those motivations worked and self-improvement was the center of your life, then we'd already be taking care of ourselves. Have you noticed that in your own life? That if you could turn worry into personal growth, then you'd already have achieved all of your own goals. I know that my own ambient level of anxiety in the past could have powered New York City, but that doesn't help us heal. It just makes us feel worse. So instead, the source of healing has to come from self-respect. By developing a quiet and abiding sense of respect for your own personhood, then it becomes easy to cultivate self-care. Let's try another simple and powerful practice. You can stay seated in a dignified, upright posture if you'd like. And think about yourself, you as a human, not ideas about yourself, but you. Try cultivating some feelings of appreciation for yourself. You are doing your very best in this moment, and that is worthy of respect. Cultivate a sense of soft-hearted compassion for your difficult emotions, a kind of unconditional friendliness. And like anything worth doing, this can take practice. So also allow yourself to be patient and kind with this process. Whatever you've gone through, whoever you are or have been, you deserve respect. It is possible to practice developing self-respect a little each day. Let go of those thoughts and feelings that are an obstruction to this form of self-respect. So for this ancient practice, repeat these words either out loud or just in your head. First, this respect for yourself. May I be safe. May I be well. May I be respected. May I feel loved. Pause cultivate these feelings and breathe. The next step is for someone that you already care about. Picture someone who brings you ease. A friend, a loved one, a favorite teacher, or even a pet. Someone who is super easy to feel love and respect toward. And repeat this. Thinking of them, may you be safe. May you be well. May you be respected. May you feel loved. And again, take your time, pause. Let the feeling land, settle in your heart. And now for someone neutral. Think of someone that you don't know well, maybe a coworker, a neighbor, or someone who just passed you today. A neutral person. May they be safe. May they be well. May they be respected. May they feel loved. And again, you pause, letting that glow of warmth expand outward. Maybe a bit more challenging. Think of somebody difficult, only if you're ready. Bring to mind someone you struggle with. You don't have to agree with them. Just offer this as a way to free your own heart. May they be safe. May they be well. May they be respected. May they feel loved. This may feel hard. It's okay. You can soften and come back to yourself anytime. And maybe the easiest one for a lot of people, we're going to include all beings, all sentient beings. Imagine this feeling of unconditional friendliness, kindness, radiating outward to your friends, your community, your work, the land, the sky, all beings everywhere. May all beings be safe. May all beings be well. May all beings be respected. May all beings feel loved. And when you can, sit for a moment in that stillness. Noticing this shift in the quality of your energy, and allow it to settle. Taking a deep final breath. And when you're ready, you can gently open your eyes and move around. How does that feel? Understanding fire means understanding how to burn brightly without burning out. Daoist wisdom teaches the importance of understanding when enough is enough, to know when to exhale, to know when you've had enough to eat or to drink, or that it's time to take a breath. If you recognize this as a problem in yourself, please don't overlook its danger. It's a matter of self-respect to stop treating yourself like an object that is pushed until it's used up. Ask yourself, where would you like to rebuild respect? In yourself? In your relationships? And when you can answer that clearly, take your time. Begin to include it in this daily meditation. Over time, you'll be able to find it in yourself, but you'll also be able to extend that respect and compassion to the rest of the world around you. It's something we need. The fire element is healing within our community when cultivated as a source of light and loving respect. Practice a little each day, heal, and be that change in your world. So if fire is the full bloom of summer, earth is the moment of the changing season, the time of transformation, the moment that we sit down to eat and digest what life has given to us. Earth is about that digestion and absorption, not just of food, but of life. It's how we process what happens, how we make meaning and to transform from what happens in our lives. When Earth gets out of balance, we become ungrounded and disconnected. We worry. We overthink. We give, and we give, and we give, and we forget to receive until we become exhausted and undernourished. And even when we do find something nourishing, whether food or a relationship, we don't allow ourselves to take those good things in and to allow them to nourish our bodies and our minds. Maybe we finally reach a goal, but instead of relaxing and appreciating the success, we immediately reset our expectations. Perhaps we finally find a loving relationship, but we don't take the time to enjoy or allow it to grow in healthy directions. And then we get resentful, numb, or only lost in a tired, spinning mind. Not because we don't want to care, but because we're out of fuel. Any of this sounding familiar? Some of these feelings are at the root of burnout. Learning to rest, to relax, and even to pause, to enjoy our achievements, it actually takes practice. It's not something that our imbalanced work-life culture tends to prize. When I was young, I worked as a server at a restaurant. It was a very challenging job, and I have great respect for those who do it well. And for me, as a neurodivergent introvert, it was super educational and transformative. At first, I was constantly in a state of stress and overwhelm. My managers were very supportive, and they offered great suggestions for improvement. And after about a year, I found my rhythm, and I began to enjoy the work. Serving fast and efficiently became a game, and I spent most of each shift smiling. And the funny thing was that the head manager calls me into her office to reprimand me for slacking off. She'd been watching me, and I was moving around in this relaxed way. And she felt that being calm and happy were the same thing as being lazy. That stress and tension were the same thing as hard work. And I had to show her that I was actually the top-rated waiter for that month before she believed me. And yet for the rest of the year, that was the rest of my time there, she treated me with suspicion, with the side eye, like I was trying to get away with something. Can you see the problem there? The work culture that she maintained was one that created stress and fatigue. Nobody was happy working there because success meant a kind of self-destruction. And over the years, I've noticed that for most people, this is how they live their lives. And everything is structured around this quality of stress. And if we are feeling peaceful and well-rested, well then, we must be doing something wrong. And I really want to challenge this perspective, especially if you've been holding on to it unconsciously. I would like to share the possibility that true success encompasses your whole life. Your mental, emotional wellness, your relationships, and your physical vitality should not be sacrificed for this part of your life journey. If you'd like, go ahead and sit up correctly again, if you've started to slouch. You can stand if you'd like. And let's do a very simple form of mindfulness practice, but with an important skill to develop within it. It may be helpful to close your eyes for the moment and notice this present moment. Pay attention. Your breath, the sensations in your body, the sounds around you. Anything that is actually happening in this moment, outside of your thoughts, your conceptions about the experience. Very simple, right? Just paying attention to what's happening. And yet, you'll already be noticing how difficult it is to simply sit quietly and pay attention to what's going on without being lost in imagination and other thoughts or fantasies or starting to fall asleep. And more important than being able to stay mindful of the present moment is practicing coming back to that present moment. And pay attention to that coming back process for a few breaths. Now, even more important than simply coming back to the mindful present moment is how you come back. The way that you deal with the habit of distraction and running away from reality. Do you push away the distraction? Get upset with yourself for being unable to focus? Do you try to hold on to the present moment with a white-knuckle grip on reality? These habits of pushing away what we don't want and clinging to what we do want are super destructive to our ability to remain peaceful. In the long run, it actually makes it harder for us to be present and mindful, to be concentrated on our work and our passions, to enjoy our lives. The correct method is subtle but incredibly powerful for getting the most from every moment of our lives. So pay attention. When you notice that you are drifting away from reality in the present moment, don't push away the distraction. Don't try hard to be awake. Instead, notice the distraction and simply lose interest. The distraction is just an agitation of your mind, your emotions. And so adding to that agitation with more attention only makes it worse. It makes it more likely for your mind to wander off again. And it ends up being a vicious cycle unless we learn to relax the mind in order to let go of distractions effortlessly. The key is effortlessly. We must soften. And if you simply soften your mind a bit and pay attention to what's happening, that's enough to return you to the present moment, because that's all that's actually happening anyway. Keep returning to the present moment through letting go. Don't use force or tension. Don't try to concentrate by squeezing your mind. Simply settle into the present moment without effort. The quality of earth is one of processing and transformation. By learning to settle and to stop endlessly chewing on your own thoughts and feelings, it becomes much easier to move forward in your life and to process stuck emotions. You'll feel much more energized because you won't be spending a huge amount of your daily resources simply reworking over the same problems over and over and over. It's exhausting, right? And you'll notice already that just that short time of practicing quiet mindfulness can be wonderfully refreshing to a tired mind. You can learn to stop that endless loop, but it requires self-honesty and the ability to express yourself honestly to the people in your life, to more clearly express your own concerns and to ask for help, the help that you require, that you need to get things done. Sometimes we simply need help pausing to rest, or support in eating more nourishing foods for lunch. Often there's no better way to break an old, destructive cycle than to simply let go of deflections and worries and to tell the truth. And this is your earth homework. To honestly acknowledge to yourself what you need, and then to share that truth with someone in your life, someone who can help. Take a moment to appreciate the small accomplishments and the beautiful aspects of your world. Be here, now, and now. These are life-changing habits, so prepare yourself for the transformations that will come. The last elemental movement in this cycle is called metal. If earth is about settling, processing, digesting, and absorbing the nourishment, then the metal is all about the letting go afterward. Earth asks us to receive, and then metal asks us to release. The imbalance has become apparent when we refuse to let that process unfold. Think of metal as the crisp breath of autumn just before the winter returns. The falling leaves, the moment when the trees stop clinging and trust the process of letting go. We've practiced letting go in the earth element in order to be where we are, and here we let go of the things that don't serve us. This is an aspect of refinement, which is how we obtain pure metals in the first place. Removing impurities, creating a powerful structure, and eliminating excess. Metal is all about precision, doing things just the right amount. Preparation, cleanup, and everything being in its proper place. It's super important for certain aspects of our work and our home life, and you can see why a business is particularly interested in this quality being healthy in their employees. When it's out of balance, it can become rigidity, perfectionism, emotional coldness or emptiness, and even feelings of loss or grief. Instantly, we can think of people in our lives who fit both of those archetypes, and maybe you can find them in yourself. After all, these feelings are often a significant part of the burnout experience. Ask yourself, what can you let go of that will bring immediate benefits? Start small and practice letting it go, even if it's simply emptying your trash can or cleaning out your bag. It's all good practice. If you find it difficult to let go of things and your environment is becoming cluttered, you may also struggle to declutter your mind. The way that we do anything is the way that we do everything. Sometimes this clutter appears due to a kind of careless neglect. We stop caring and we become distant in our own lives. And it can become important to explore your values about your life. What do you deeply care about? How can you reconnect the heart of your deepest drives to your work and home life to treat that numbness? And this drive may be enough to help you begin drawing clearer lines around parts of your life. I need this, I don't need that. I want this, I don't want that. This is good for me, this not so much. This helps me achieve success, and this is destructive. When you can more clearly see those boundaries, they're empowered by your deepest values if you allow that relationship, that connection to become more real. And then it becomes easier to let go of the parts of you that you need to in order to help you grow. And when we don't have these strong boundaries in our lives, They don't only become messy, they become toxic. We lose our ability to say no when we need to. We start to become negative, self-destructive, cynical. We lose our sense of agency in our life. We end up sacrificing the good because we cannot separate out the bad. If I toss one moldy apple into a barrel of good apples, they will all quickly spoil. The better we are at discarding these harmful parts of our lives, the easier it becomes to heal and to grow. Some of the people in my life work from home, and I've seen how destructive it can be for them if they don't have clear boundaries between work and home time. They end up working all the time, or they end up not working at all. We must be able to put down our work at the end of the day so we can rest and deeply recover. And that makes us more capable of being clear and alert at work. Makes it more fun. Remember to align your schedule with your deeper values so that you don't inadvertently sacrifice what matters most to you. Knowing that taking the time to nourish yourself will keep you at the top of your game in every aspect of your life. There's an old story. 2 woodcutters entered a contest to see who could chop down the most trees in a day. One worked non-stop, never resting, swinging furiously, and the other one kept taking breaks. He'd stop and sharpen his axe. He'd sit down and breathe. He'd pause, adjust his stance, and continue. And at the end of the day, who do you think won the contest? The one who paused. The one who was always bringing their most refined efforts. Who honored the rhythm of effort and stillness. He didn't waste energy swinging a dull blade. In a world that rewards excess, metal teaches the elegance of just enough. Again, of knowing when the job is done and then stopping. Of doing the work right and then going home, letting it all go. Not everything needs to be done right now. Not every thought needs to be followed. Not every burden needs to be carried. Sometimes healing doesn't come from doing more, it comes from doing less and doing it well. It's clear that illness appears when we can't draw those healthy boundaries in our lives. If we can't know clearly what is helping and what is harming, how can we make good choices? The more defined and refined that our lives become, the simpler and the easier they are to manage. Lists and agendas can be very helpful. Just be careful that you don't turn into someone who has lists about their lists, schedules for their lists. I speak from personal experience. If you'd like, go ahead and sit up correctly again. If you've started to slouch. You can also stand up and practice this if that's more comfortable. Rest your hands on your belly. Use the softness of your hands to help relax your abdomen. Our culture often encourages us to clench our bellies and to hold our breath, especially during times of stress. And it becomes a significant trigger for further anxiety, feelings of frustration, and poor posture. The relief that comes from just a few comfortable, easy, slow breaths shows what a huge difference they can make. How does it feel? The trick here isn't to force deep breathing. In the same way that you can't force your belly or your shoulders to relax. You can only let go of the tension that is in the way. And similarly, with the breath, just let go of the tension that is blocking your breath from expanding and releasing comfortably. How soft and easy can you make this process? When we stress, we often hold on to collections of small thoughts and feelings. We hold on to our abdomen. 100 small concerns stack up to feel like a wall of stress. I'm sure that you know this feeling when small things start to feel like big problems, only because it feels as though there are 1,000 small things to deal with. So you spill your drink and you have a meltdown. And these collections of small problems keep us up worrying, even late into the night, ruining our chances for a good night's sleep, which makes it worse. And the only way to help with this tendency is to practice letting go of small things again and again. And it's a skill that can be developed using simple methods. Let's work on it together for a moment, using only your breath. Notice the tendency to try to control your breathing patterns. Each time that you start to force your breathing into a particular pattern, relax your mind. Isn't it funny that it's as though your mind becomes a clenched fist, even around something as simple as inhaling and exhaling? That part of our mind tries to control everything. Instead, relax. At the same time, notice if your mind drifts to something small but irritating. Maybe the sound of the traffic or a fan, tiny itching sensation on your nose. Doesn't matter. Your only job is to notice the feeling of resistance and annoyance about the experience so that you can practice letting it go. Release the need to change it or the feeling like it shouldn't be there. Just soften your mind in the same way that you relaxed your hands and your belly. It's the same skill. You can always do something about those problems later. For now, just relax and be present. Keep letting go over and over again of your breath, of these small things, and it will strengthen your ability to let go of bigger problems. The better you become at this skill of mindfully relaxing, the smaller your stack of worries will be at the end of the day, and the easier it will be to fall asleep without a spinning mind. It's pretty powerful. And this is your mental homework, to release many small tensions throughout the day. Start as small as possible to develop the habit so it doesn't feel scary. And then as you improve, practice letting go of inconsequential things that bother you, maybe a little bit larger, so that you can strengthen your ability to let go of bigger problems later. It's like lifting small weights to strengthen yourself before tackling the heavier weights in your life. Eventually, you'll find that it becomes effortless to make space in your life for new good things by releasing the stuff that no longer helps you grow. Today we covered the basics of the 5 phases of life: water, wood, fire, earth, and metal. You have specific, actionable practices for you to take home and important questions to ponder. I'll place them down in the boxes below if you'd like to look at them. And these practical methods have been helping heal people for thousands of years, and I know that they will be just as supportive for you. Again, my name is John Blue, and I will be happy to have you reach out to me with your questions online. Find me on Patreon. We all grow and heal together as a community, and together we will help the world become a better and more balanced place. Thank you so much, and enjoy your practice.